Well, thank you, folks. And Adrian, thank you for having me here. It's a great facility. And yes, I've come from North America, although I have been global in much of my career and my life. I actually built the Sci-Fi Channel. I had an office in Charlotte Street for a while, and then I ran global sales and marketing for Hallmark Channel. I had an office on the King's Road in Chelsea near Fulham. I had offices in Singapore and Latin America, and I've kind of, for better or worse, I've always kind of been on the kind of emerging cusp of media where technology has changed media, and then we had to figure out how to get the advertisers and the whole advertising business to affect those changes. Actually, early on, I was with Turner Broadcasting, Ted Turner, who built CNN and a whole lot of channels like that. And it was interesting in the early days where technology changed television, so people were no longer watching, just ITV or BBC One or Two, or in the US, NBC or ABC. And I had the lucky opportunity to spend time with Ted Turner himself on a lot of sales calls. And we would go to ad agencies, and we show up to the ad agencies where they'd be buying ABC, NBC, and CBS. And they'd say to us, gee, thanks for coming in, Barry and Ted, good to see you. We have television budgets, we have out-of-home budgets, we have print budgets, magazine budgets, radio budgets, but we don't have any cable TV budgets. And we would say, well, this is why we're here, because technology has now changed human nature. People are no longer watching just 3 channels. And in Europe, the government channels and a couple of independent commercial-owned channels. People are now watching 30, 40 channels. And you, Mr. Advertiser, have to change the way you're doing business now. And that is really what's happening today, is that, and you'll see kind of the way we see the world, but out-of-home advertising is really doing great for a lot of reasons, largely because all of what digital brings to it. And we are one of the biggest purveyors and pushers of all the digital and out-of-home advertising. Early on, 5 years ago, we kind of batted our board over the head about actually getting involved in programmatic. And in that time, it was, no, it's a race to the bottom. How are we going to do it? It's going to get mismanaged. Pricing's going to be low. We're going to confuse the sales channels. But no, we kind of described, and I laid out on whiteboards and blackboards for all of my membership, how to look at your inventory in a variety of different ways. You've got high touch, high point, high selling, long-term sponsorships, bells and whistles, and you've got kind of, medium-term advertiser sponsorship deals, and then you've got some short-term great ways to fill it in. And with desired markets, with private placements, with private marketplaces, you can control everything. And we've seen Broadsign and Stephanie do a great job of programmatic. Our friends at IUTA and Andreas, who I think is arriving on a plane here at the moment, have done great jobs of really showing the industry how to grow via programmatic. So we've been one of the biggest pushers and purveyors of all that digital brings to the out-of-home space. But at the same time, I'm going to talk today about my theory of connectivity. And my theory of connectivity is about, in this automated age, how as humans, we need to connect even more. We need to look each other in the face even more. We need to understand, read inflections. We need to read micro expressions. We need to collaborate, connect, communicate. And I'm going to use a lot of alliterative C's as you see that. So as we launch into that, it's my theory of connectivity. And we're kind of proud of our new logo, if you guys haven't seen it. Anybody have a guess of what this all means here? Who wants to come and guess? Someone raise your hand. Tell me what the borders mean. Come on, it's a big branding exercise. The same guys that did Intel Inside and the Microsoft Butterfly did this. Daniel, you know what those things are. Screen frame, thank you. Give them a hand, please. Someone said something. Yeah, Daniel Parisian. And you're going to have to raise your hands or I'm going to call on you, so please volunteer. And by the way, so we are everything digital out of home, and what Adrian said, we start out as DPAA, but now digital place-based, but now we've expanded into all of everything outdoor, hardware, software, and everything that's digital outside the home, which is an incredibly vibrant marketplace. So here's my theory of connectivity, and it's in Italian, so my friend from Picasso should be able to read that. Can you tell what the theory of connectivity is?
The theory of come parlare, parlare, parlare.
Ah, bene, molto bene, molto grazie. Thank you. So that's, he can read it because it's Italian and it's in Einsteinian or something. But for those of you that can't read this, maybe we could try our hand at that. In our algorithmic, machine, tech, device-driven environment consumed with texts, social media, and screens, it's even more important, more critical for friends, family, and business associates to proactively connect, create, and find ways to develop meaningful relationships in a face-to-face fashion. And we have to thank Adrian and everybody in the room, and Fepe and others, for connecting in face-to-face fashion. It's even more critical in our digital age to pick our heads up, take the earplugs out, look somebody in the eye, in the face, and connect. So this is my theory of connectivity, if you weren't able to read the earlier one. Kay Kwang, you were able to read the earlier one, right?
I read that one better.
Right. Kay Kwang speaks Vietnamese, French, English, and all in rapid fire. It's an amazing brain you got there. It goes so quickly. Incredibly done. So in this kind of age, there was a book written talking about, it was 2076. There's a revolt on the moon where a robot, his army of robots, and a one-armed tech IT guy, kind of like Andrew in a way, has basically taken over the Earth, because the Earth is full of humans and the machines are running what's going on the moon. This is actually Elon Musk's favorite book. And Elon Musk, one of the greatest STEM guys around, science, technology, engineering, and math, is a big sci-fi writer. And he has also learned from sci-fi, where he loved the robots and he loved the takeover. And it really caused kind of a bit of a cataclysm going on there, where the robots started taking over the Earth. In fact, have anybody seen Westworld on Sky TV? The new season debuted 2 weeks ago. Anybody ever seen Westworld? Yeah, good. You've seen a lot of it. Okay, well, the robots are taking over. Yes, exactly. So this is Westworld, and it was actually interesting what they did from a media standpoint. They launched at 2 a.m. Andy, Sidekick, and Bubble. Good to see you, man. What they did is they launched at the same time, 2 a.m. in the UK and 10 p.m. On HBO in the United States, which was kind of interesting, so no one gave away the secrets, to your point, Adrian. So it launched exactly the same time, so nobody can call or get back. But, you know, at the end of the day, tech is incredibly important. It's given us amazing solutions. I mentioned programmatic. It's given us great data. It's given ability to target audiences, to understand audiences. You know, in the old days, you would have out of home, who would you be targeting? Hollywood and Vine, or Oxford and Tottenham Court, do they intersect? Anybody know? Oxford and Regent Street. But now, or then they got developed maybe a little bit further, where you could identify, say, men 18 to 54. In fact, one of our programmatic members used Timberland boots, used to target men 18 to 34. Now, they could understand by the mobile device and the mobile phone which phones are in the city during the week, in the country on the weekend, and have gone into sporting goods store. What a great new target. Broadsign and other companies understand who's been in a car dealership for the past 4 weeks, and IUTA may understand what car leases are coming up. What a great way to target audiences, and then when they're in front of a screen, target them and do mobile. So there's a lot of great technology that's come out. So, you know, we're one of the biggest purveyors and pushers and prognosticators. Alliterative, Kay Kwang? Yeah? All right? Okay, there's some more coming. So we believe in it, the ability to really connect data, to serve audiences, CMS systems, to serve content, to serve advertisers. And look at that. Boy, what a great technology that is, to understand who's in front of the screen. And not only who's in front of the screen, but they're actually looking at the screen. By the way, if you think about television, certainly the most powerful medium in the world, what's going on in television, there's television ratings, there's Barb in this country and other countries. What's in Italy? What do they use for TV ratings in Italy?
You know, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm
not.
You don't know about TV media?
Not a lot.
Marco from Grand Stanzioni, nice to see you. How's the train business?
Very fast.
Very fast. That's great. Very fast. That's good. How's the airline business? What kind of ratings do you do in Italy in television? Any idea?
In television, we use Auditel, that is based on research and the panel of...
The panels. Okay, so interestingly, what panels do is it basically takes a sample. You may have 20,000 people on a sample measuring hundreds of millions of people. That's not really accurate. Also in television, it's not really a viewership, it's an OTS, opportunity to see. What happens with things like Quivity, you're actually really looking, and it's census-based, one-to-one, so you really understand what's going on. Great technology, and other great technologies. We talked about Quivity, Broadsign I mentioned earlier. HiveStack, of course, also doing great programmatic all over the world. A lot of great work in Germany. Is Christian Schnabel here yet? Oh, look who walks in. IUTA And Haystack and Andreas walks in just when his slide comes up. What a guy, nice new haircut. Look at this, look, you cut the sides, not the top. Look at Andreas. Stand up for a second, Andreas. Look, you cut the sides, but not the top. But it looks good. The timing is very well done, as always. Well done. And then Esprit, where's Peter? Peter and James have built a great business, really taking use of digital for the out-of-home business. Well done, Peter. That's great. So, and then, of course, Mario. We talked earlier about Mario and David. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Where were you last night? All right, well, I'm glad you're here maintenant. Bienvenue. So, look, there's a lot of great technology that's happened. I'm not saying the robots are going to be here tomorrow and taking over, although they may. I know. One of the most tech guys around, Daniel. But look what else it's brought us. Great, beautiful 4K. Has anybody shown up for motion yet today? Maybe they're coming later. But you know what this is, the Piccadilly lights and a DPAA member, an incredible look. I mean, look what that does when you've got this large, big, beautiful signage, also using Quivity technology in Piccadilly Circus. So, we need to connect. If you're not getting an idea yet, you're going to get it by the end of this. Nice human connection? What do you think? Yeah, electricity going between humans. Do you use that? What is your name?
Mince.
Mince?
Mince.
Mince. Where are you from?
Broadside.
You're from, oh, yeah. Good to see you again. I know you. That's right. A lot of hey, everybody's here from Broadside. Okay. More connection. A lot of humans connecting. That's what we're doing today. More connection. And what's going on here? What's really the problem? Every millennial, as I said, head down, plugged in. And what's really going on here, like in the communication? When you text somebody, you've really got a one-way communication. Or is it is one-way communication an oxymoron, or is it communication? What do you think? You don't know. What is your name?
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. Where are you from?
Brownside.
Primeside. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Where's Naram, how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Naran. He's
No,
not
he's
around.
here? Okay, please say hi to him. Is he here?
No, he's not.
He's not here. Okay.
Darren doesn't like the chairs.
What's that?
Darren doesn't like the chairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're uncomfortable.
Man, he can come stand on the corner like Andrew's standing.
He won the cushion last year, but he refused to come back afterwards.
Oh, man, all right. Well, tell him we'll have a stand for him. It's like those desks now that elevate.
He's got one.
Yeah, he's got one. He's got one. So what's going on here? What's going on is essentially, in this digital age, one way back and forth. You send a message, you send a text. It may be received. It may not be received. It may be read. It may not be read. It may be thought about. It may not be thought about. And then maybe you get something back. Is that really communication? Or is it really like a carrier pigeon? Carrier pigeon goes off, sends a message across the ocean. Maybe someone reads it. Maybe they don't. Comes back. In the wild, wild west of America, we had the Pony Express. Anybody know what the Pony Express was in America? Raise your hand if you've heard of it. Oh, pretty good. Okay. Hey, Mark. Nice to see you. And thanks for raising your hand. Mark Lees also does a great job of connecting in Fetbe in some of the most beautiful parts of the world, as Adrian mentioned. Sorrento this year. Sorrento Sea. Pony Express. It goes out. You may get 10 days later, you may have got the message delivered. Maybe. Or maybe the guy got shot. Or maybe, the horse tripped up. Maybe they didn't get it. Then they write a letter and it comes back. These are one-way missives. These are not dialogues. Who knows what this is? Yes. Who said that? And actually, in America now, everything's politically correct. So Native Americans, we don't call them Indians anymore. We're very politically correct in America. I waver, so be careful. I haven't met you, Barry.
Johnny.
Johnny, nice to meet you,
Media.
Johnny. Ed Media. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. So that's smoke signals. Once again, one-way direction coming out. You see it, you may not see it. Maybe you're sleeping. Maybe you're smoking the peace pipe too much and you don't see it at all. So we're tied, right? We're tied to our devices. We're chained to our devices. This is my daughter, by the way. Leave me alone. I'm down, I'm in. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Even in our business, who knows what this is? Raise your hand. Anybody? Watson, exactly. Watson's going to be taking over your business lives. I spent time at IBM a few weeks ago. The amazing crunching of data, of billions and billions of pieces of data by seconds, is incredible what's going on. Spewing out amazing knowledge, amazing information from Watson. It's going to be taking over our lives. In fact, the guy who's running Watson, by the way, is possibly in the lineup for Sir Martin Sorrell's job. Think about what that means. And there's somebody else there, but it's very interesting. Hussein, nice to see you, Hussein. So that's what's going on with Watson. That's our business lives. How about our personal lives? What kind of technology you use in your personal life, Daniel?
Mobile phones? I don't know.
Mobile, what else? In terms of
Oh, you're thinking
artificial
Alexa.
intelligence. Hey,
No.
Daniel, once again, gets the great answer to the question. Daniel from Quivity. All right, who doesn't use Siri? Oh, some people don't use Siri. That's nice to see. Why don't you use Siri?
I don't. NSA spying on me all the time. I'm not a big
Yeah, I
fan.
know, right, I know. And also, Putin, why do you do that? You come, how about this one? Who knows what this is? You know who it is. Another answer for Andreas, you know who this is. What is it?
That's the new speaker from Apple, the HomePod.
From Google Home, the Apple phone, exactly, very good. That's the new speaker at home. Of course, how many people have Alexa at home? So I was early on Alexa, and she kind of adjusts my temperature in the house now. She tells me the weather inside, the weather outside, but I've been banned from Alexa in the bedroom. When I was laying in bed and I said to Alexa, Alexa, wake me up at 6 a.m. Okay, I'll wake you up at 6 a.m. And then I said, Alexa, please turn the lights off. My wife said, that's enough. No more talking to this Alexa when you're in bed with me. So she's been banned from the bedroom. But once again, the purveyance of our lives in technology is really a bit of an issue. And who knows what this guy is? Adrian gets it. Interesting. Who raised their hand first? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Long time. Hal, it's actually right now, it's the 50th anniversary of 2001 Space Odyssey, where Hal came about. Hal, for you, those of you that don't know, was basically like the Alexa envisioned 50 years ago. Think about that. Hal was the computer on board of the spaceship going to Jupiter, who kind of got a little angry and a little testy and ended up killing off the humans. So this thing continues to happen here and there. By the way, for those of you that think about it, Hal, H-A-L, was actually the letters after H-A-L was IBM, and because that was the big bad machine potentially in those days. So watch out what may happen if we have Hal take over. Oh my God, this is what may happen. What do you think? Friend of yours? Right? See in your technology stack? By the way, you guys have just brought out Bubble from Sidekick. Now you've got two big businesses. Tobias, this is Tobias from Sidekick. And where's your partner? Andy. There's Andy, Sidekick and Bubble too. Keep the computers, keep the machines out. The good machines are okay. Oh my God, does this happen? It could, but the most important lesson here is don't lose your abilities to connect. And this is where connection happens. And thank you, Adrian, for putting this together. We've got London Digital Signage Week this week, a couple of conferences today, tomorrow. You had yesterday's conference. Single-handedly, Adrian, fashioned himself after Ralph Lauren and Yves Saint Laurent, who built Fashion Week in New York and Fashion Week in Italy, to build New York. Look at him. And he's fashionable in his turtleneck today. What's that?
Hugo Boss today.
Hugo Boss today. Well done. In fact, the New York Digital Signage Week is now becoming an institution, thanks to Adrian. Adrian, when I started 5 years ago, how many events did you have a week?
In the first New York Digital Signage Week, 3.
And how many did you have last year?
34.
And how many are you going to have this year?
More than 34.
That's the answer. Think about that. 34 events over the course of the week in New York, in this thriving metropolis, all dedicated to out-of-home digital signage technology. It's an amazing achievement. Can we give Adrian a hand for putting that all together? And what happens at these weeks? What happens? People connect. They engage, they network, they learn about new partnerships, new possibilities. We can't forsake that. Now, we at DPAA, this is our DNA. This is what we do. We can go through an alliterative nature of what we do. We connect, we counsel, what do we do? We'll get into a bunch of the things. We consolidate. But basically, it's all about connection. We have two big events. We've had 5 years ago, when I started, we had, I think it was about 400 people at our summit. Last year, we had 900 people. And it's become the anchor of Digital Signage Week. We'll show you, we get major CMOs out, CEOs of agencies. It's a big day of how do we shift money from other advertising into out-of-home advertising. And for the first time this year, on May 14th, we're going to be having our first Video Everywhere Summit in Canada. And, home of, the ex-home of Stephanie Gutnick. She's a New Yorker. For those of you that don't know Stephanie, she's in the right place. Also, we got, Andreas is going to be moving from Montreal as well to New York, but it's going to be the first Toronto Video Everywhere DPAA Summit, and we'll talk some more about it. Great places to connect. Anybody know who this guy is? Stephanie knows. Who else knows? Exactly, Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan was basically the early saint of advertising, digital, and media. He created the terms global village. He foresaw what we're living today, an interconnected, digitally media-driven world. A brilliant guy. And what countries was he from? Canada, oh Canada, of course. So what Marshall McLuhan talked about is the medium is a message, meaning what you do and how you say it affects what it is. So we're going to do a little bit of that now. I'm going to ask everybody to turn around, look at somebody that you don't know. It's someone you don't know. Tell them something interesting about yourself, and then the other person say something interesting back about yourself, and then I'd like each of you to ask one question to that person based on what they said. Now, not someone you know. All right, so we're going to do this for about 60 seconds, so start now. Stand up if you need to, turn. That was very well done. You all connected well. Thank you. I did see a couple of cheats. I saw Stephanie talking to Livesey, and they've known each other before. So now when you go outside at 11 o'clock, I want everybody to find someone you don't know, okay? But that was really good. I'm glad you started the connection. Is that so much better than sitting here looking down at your phones? Wasn't that great? Okay, so as I mentioned, the alliterative DNA that we constructed at DPAA. We're a community. We're a concierge service. We're a club, and we're a consulting organization. And anybody, maybe a third of you are members, you understand how we do all these things. And it's critical, especially in this digital age, where you know what? We're competing for advertising, which is a fuel for everything, against Google, Facebook, Sky, huge monoliths, huge companies. And they've got tons of people. When you walk in, I've been to Google, I've been to AOL, I've been to Facebook, I've been to Google and Mountain View. There's brilliant people all over. There's 50 people you can call on any day, right, Daniel? Who can tell you about technology, about a new data source, et cetera. But we don't have that. We're largely, some of the biggest companies are billion-dollar companies, but still, we don't have the resources to connect. So as DPAA, when people come together at DPAA, they exchange best practices. They figure out what's going on. They see people that have the same jobs as them, whether it's in New York or London or Mumbai, and they share how to do it better. And that's what we've done and how we've connected at DPAA. So this is in our DNA. All of that, what that leads to, we're going to find Stephanie. All that leads to is a business accelerator, cutting times and costs to markets, to technology and partners. It's so critically needed today that we connect. As I mentioned, Google and Facebook have all of this down the hall. We have it all together at a lot of the events we're going to show you, at our member meetings, and all of that comes together when we do that. So this is kind of the essence. By the way, Andrew, it's a great screen. It looks so nice, the black against the screen here, really nice. So what we do is we connect people, all points of the globe from all over. We want everybody to get really close. We want everybody to come together. We want the best practices in Rome, the best practices in Mumbai, the best practices in Paris and London. And we do that when we get together at all the types of activities and events that Adrian alluded to and comes together. So come together really close. Also, not just Google and Facebook, but the advertisers and the agencies are really close. These are, once again, big companies. They're sharing best practices every day. We share it at DPAA meetings. We share it at our Cannes curated sessions. We share it at CES. We share it here at London Digital Signage Week. We had a great DPAA dinner last night. Everybody came out of there smarter and learning. So let's get really close. It's important to get very close, but not this close. This is much too close for me. But where we really look at things is maybe in this direction. This is close too. And this is, you're probably getting a sense of who I supported in this last runaround. But this is a very interesting story of connection. Hillary is amazing one-on-one. She is fabulous. She is smart. She is articulate. She is really brilliant on what's happened and what needs to happen. But in a crowd, on television, she's not telegenic. She doesn't have that. Now, her husband, Bill, is amazing. I mean, I've spoken to Bill many times, and man, I wanted to give him a hug. I mean, he is unbelievable, the connection that he makes. But Hillary, in person one-on-one, is fabulous, and I spent a lot of time with Hillary, but on television, she doesn't really connect like these guys. And for whatever ills or whatever, these guys have had ability to connect. In fact, while Trump was busy connecting to possibly Russians, Hillary wasn't even connecting to Michigan. Really a bit of a problem. So learn about connection. How do we basically connect better? She does dress well. We kind of had the same designer there. Was that Hugo Boss, Adrian? Who did that one? So how do we see the world at DPAA? We see it as a great opportunity to grow out of home from all of the digital nature that's come about. And what's the fuel? What fuels hardware? What fuels software? What fuels technology in the whole out-of-home world? Everybody in any part of the space that you're in, it gets fueled by advertising. It gets fueled by retail, whether you're advertising burgers inside the store or you're advertising, a big Piccadilly lights on Piccadilly. And from my own experience running and building sales organizations around the world, that's why people call us a muscular trade association, because we're all about getting that share of revenue, getting that advertising. Advertising is the fuel. And how do we get our piece of the cake? How do we get our piece of the pie? I think we missed the pie, in case you haven't had anything to eat yet. And cake, some parts of the world like talking about the cake. At the end of the day, we are all about growing our share of the advertising revenue. This is how we put it, kind of simply put. We look at the world, and this is when we're out there talking to advertisers and agencies, and we do a lot of this every month. We see the world as inside the home, media-wise, is kind of like an old-time movie. It's sepia. Can you read the subtitles there? What do you think? It's subtitles. It's sepia. It's kind of black and white. It's the way it used to be. That's inside the home media. Anybody have an idea why I'm saying that? Andy? No. Who are you? What's your name?
Laura.
Hi, Laura. Any idea what's going on inside the home media? How's your print viewership? Are you reading a lot of newspapers these days?
I do.
Well, you saw a lot of people reading less. Anyway, this is what the reality is going on in every Western country around the world. People are watching less television. They are reading less newspapers. They are reading less print press. Magazine viewership, radio is down. In the U.S., NFL football, the mainstay. In fact, even the big, high marquee value points of television around the world where there's big stars, where it's event-driven and live, is going down. So this is generally what's happening in most Western parts around the world, is that inside the home media is black and white. Desktop viewership continues to go down 20% a year. Inside the home ain't where it's at anymore, boys and girls. It's black and white, it's yesterday's news. Whereas outside the home is colorful. And what else? It's also digital. This is where it's happening. In fact, as we look at it, what else is happening outside the home is a society is spending more time outside the home than ever. Kinetic calls it, anybody here from Kinetic? Kinetic talks about, 70% of our time is spent out at home. But let's look at why that has happened. First of all, there's global warming. People are just spending more time out and about. Secondly, Western society has really morphed aggressively to urban settings. 80% of the Western world is really living now in urban centers. Millennials eat out more often than ever. Right, Neil? Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, you should know. Here's some of the facts in case we don't know it. So what happens is today's mobile urban society, Canada, 82% of the population, same as US, lives in urban centers. UK, 83%. Brazil, what you see down there is France and Spain as well. With all the people living in urban centers. In fact, you look at headquarters, even for business. McDonald's just moved their global headquarters from Oak Brook outside in Illinois to downtown Chicago. Google used to be located in all places, and now they're basically in the city, right smack in Manhattan. Look at the Google offices here in London, painted orange and yellow and blue and all those colors. They're in urban settings. That's what's happened. So society is spending more time out and about, more time in urban settings, more time looking at billboards and signage. Media inside the home is going down. So it's kind of basically a nice three-legged stool. Inside is down, outside is where it's at, and outside is now digital. And what does digital bring? All of the opportunities that have grown digital advertising, mobile advertising, we now have. Better data delivery, better data targeting, programmatic, a lot of strong opportunities. And you should feel good about it. Everything that's really bolstered the digital advertising world now lives within our digital out-of-home space. So here's DPAA membership, just kind of we got over 100 members now. When I joined, we had 20 members. But this gives you an idea. We're from Times Square to Piccadilly. We're in Screen Vision. They have half the screens in America for cinema advertising. The largest screen company in Canada as well. Cineplex is a big member. We've got the rail stations in India. I don't know if it's a little bigger than Grand Stazione, but anybody want to guess how many tickets our member has screens above the ticket sellers in India. How many tickets they sell a day for train in India? I'll ask my Italian friend of trains. How many train tickets in India are sold a day?
100 million?
Oh, well, okay, very aggressive. Actually, 23 million. It's amazing. Think about 23 million people under those screens every day. The power of advertising. We've got Lamar. I was down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where Lamar is really, interestingly, we've got Lamar. I was with the CEO. They've got now, it's 7% of their signage is digital, representing 25% of their actual revenue. Think about the math there. Very exciting. And then, mobile is our friend. We have a love affair with mobile, to understand audiences, to target audiences, to use great data for programmatic, and then to deliver them and find attribution. Really, really important. So if anybody's not working with a mobile partner or mobile data, please do that. And then this is kind of the bit of the panoply of all our members. This is interesting, though. And this came up in the conversation with Sean Riley, the CEO of Lamar. When he's talked about, in one sense, he's only got 7-8% digital screens, but we and everybody in this room and every media owner, you want to be digital. You want to be seen as digital. When every media planner out there is looking and spending time personally and professionally on Facebook, on Google, on Oath, if you're not all digital screens, you should have digital automation in your sales process. Broadsign's got some great presentation and sales processes now that are all fully automated, right? It's really key. You should be using programmatic. You could use programmatic with billboards. Addressability, connection, visual data, great technologies like from Peter Livesey and Brenner. We are a digital business. We want to be perceived as a digital business. Every conversation from Martin Sorrell to Keith Weed, who runs Unilever, to Mark Pritchard, who runs a CMO of Procter & Gamble, even though it's not fully screen digital, you're using all the principles of digital in your business, and you all should be talking about that, because that is what's moving the economy and moving advertising today. So here's our DPAA members today. And what you see are media owners at our core, and we have got global media owners. As Adrian mentioned, 20% of our ownership is now outside the U.S. Of course, we've got basically every country, Middle East, Africa, Europe, Latin America. We've got a couple of great companies in Latin America, Canada, and the U.S., and then many global companies. So at our core are media owners. Then we've got a lot of data companies. Newstar, one of those prolific data global companies around that a lot of our members are using. We've got mobile companies, Cedo Mobile, Ground Truth, formerly XAD, terrific mobile data for understanding and targeting audiences. We've got physical locations. Westfield Malls is a huge member and very active. They're joining us on our Cannes trip this year. We've also got GGP, other mall guys around. We've got the New York MTA, New York Transit is a member. Amtrak, the big transit line in the U.S. is a member. Great technologies, Linkette from Canada, taxi cab media, mall media, gyms. My chairman, Francois de Gaspobillon, is one of the great, most inclusive people in the whole global world and has done a terrific job with Zoom media as well. CNN Airport, MTV University, virtually any place that you're seeing some kind of screen or digital business, Lamar, Outfront, Clear Channel, Lamar, Outfront, and Clear Channel. You're talking in the U.S. alone about $3 billion of revenue. Very active members. Clear Channel is with the CEO last week. Actually, I spent time with all three CEOs. Interesting dinner I had with the CEO of Intersection recently, who we've got a meeting next week. Ari Buchalter, for many years, for those of you that are all in the media space, been a big joke that, and you know Ari, I'm sure, from working with PrimeSite, that media has never been rocket science. So this guy, Ari Buchalter, who helped build Media Math, actually is a jet propulsion doctorate from Stanford. So now it is rocket science. And where's Karen Chan from Media Math? Karen, hi Karen, how are you? So Karen, Media Math is now a member. We're encouraging all of the supply DSPs to be members, and actually Ari, who now runs Intersection, helped build Media Math, and Karen Chan, you should all get to know, who really understands digital, programmatic, and is really a terrific asset to this space. So nice to see you last night and today, Karen. Screen Vision I mentioned, Cineplex, more detailed companies. Cedar Fair programs a channel called Fun TV. They've got 13 amusement parks all throughout the country. When people are waiting online to get into an amusement ride, how many hours a day do they spend? You're sitting here, so I know you're going to speak later. How many hours a day do people spend on average at an amusement park waiting for rides?
2 hours.
4 hours. And the average ride, how long do you think the average ride is?
3 minutes.
Yeah, 1 minute. Isn't that crazy? So that's why they got Fun TV with content and ads all over. Place IQ, another great digital space as well. Amazing technologies, and you see everybody up there. Captivate and elevators as well. Bullseye for data targeting. And so this is kind of the group of members, and what we do is we connect everybody. And if any of you have been to our meetings, have been to Cannes, have been to CES, we're constantly telling people how to work together because we rise all ships. So here's an interesting perspective of media, of where it is and where it's going, for those of you that haven't thought about this. Credit Suisse did this big analysis. If you think back, in the 1920s, the incumbent medium was really print. Print was prolific. I can't say that late at night drinking, but I can say it today. Print is prolific. Then radio came in. So it went from print, which basically was the medium of the time, to now media can actually have reach. Because radio can reach across cities, can reach across borders. So that was a big evolution, and then the advertisers had to follow that. Then from 50s to 2000, the launch of television. What did television mean? Television meant, wow, now we can get further engagement with media. We can have that picture, we can have that video signal, we can have sight, sound, and motion. What that did is it had advertisers forced to say, wow, we had print, was interesting, then we got reach, now we could add reach, we could add engagement to the reach, which is really important. Right now, we're living in the age of relevance. Because of all the proliferation of data, because of what's going on connecting data, connecting digital, we're living in the age of relevance, where no longer can we just, as I mentioned earlier, target men 18 to 34, say to buy cars, but as Andreas does with Hivestack, who was in the dealership for the past 4 weeks? Whose leases are coming up? What a great and much better way to target audiences because of relevant. And you know what? The consumer appreciates it because you're not wasting their time. You're giving them relevant information, entertainment, or decision-making opportunities because you understand them better and you could target their advertising better. Now, where do we move? Price. As all of this becomes so much more scientific, where we are really identifying audiences, we're really identifying pricing and attribution and ROI and KPI, we can now really understand what's happening in terms of delivering price. So that's really key. Really interesting opportunity for all of us. Credit Suisse has also done this. They've taken a look out to 2030. This is US, the first one was global. Increases in media, all television, over the top, all types of video grows. Of course, internet, mobile, and digital grows. Newspapers down, magazines down, radio down, outdoor only up 5 billion over this period. Now, if we're smart and we're doing all the stuff we talked about today, we're going to get video money, we're going to get digital money, we're going to get mobile money because we have those attributes. So think about this. How do we share shift from only looking at this to getting pieces and slices of that? Because we are digital, because we are video, because we do have data, we do have targeting. So that's really a key. I'm going to move ahead. A short one here is that basically call to action and direct selling and direct marketing is also going to increase over this period. Once again, because of this ubiquity of data, knowledge, KPI, and ROIs. So the inflection point that we're on today, and this is really important as we see the world, we have a great opportunity. We've talked about digital, targeting, addressability, all that has made mobile and digital the fastest growing, that's overtaken television as a medium. That we know, all the opportunities. What's our challenges? How do we embrace it? How do we share shift? How do we deal with all of this new digital inventory coming on the scene where we're going to flood the marketplace with more ads? We've got to keep up the value of that, because what happens when there's too much availability and not enough money chasing it? It's a law of economics. This is what DPAA does every day. We're out there talking to advertisers and agencies and our members about how to grow the value of our medium. Also, we've got a cacophony of messages like never before. Everybody's got a media company. Everybody's walking to an ad agency. Everybody's going there talking to them. And in addition to all the media sellers out there, we also have huge monoliths. The power of Google, the power of Facebook, the power of Oath, the power of these huge conglomerates. In the US, we've got Universal Theme Parks, USA Network, NBC, the Olympics, Charter, Cable, Time Warner, all one company. So that's the big challenges we have. So our vision forward is a lot of what you're seeing today of how to grasp that and take advantage of it. And that's what we do every day. We try to show leadership. And how do we connect? We do this by the summits. So I talked briefly about it. This is our summit, pictures from years. There's Eric Estrada. Is that who's down there? Where's Eric? There's Eric Estrada. Raise your hand, Eric, formerly of Chips fame. One of the smartest guys in all of advertising, the head of digital for WPP, who actually just joined some major boards this year. Rob Norman was brilliant at our summit. CEO of Gas Station TV, who's on my board. Francois de Gaspé-Beaubien. Wonderful man, and the star of Taxi TV up in the upper left of me. This guy with the long hair is the global CMO of Citibank. These are the people we're talking to and we address at our summits. And look at this at the summit. We got very important people in the front row here. There's Andrew. See Andrew there? Adrian went to, he had a phone call with 10 Downing Street, so he gave up his chair over there. This guy is actually Ken Oletta, the most prolific writer globally in all media. He wrote Three Blind Mice, The Decline of Television. Then he wrote the definitive book on Google, The World as We Knew It. And by the way, look at the great broad sign. They own every year the balcony, the VIP seating up there, where they have private meetings. They keep everybody out. It's a very clever thing they do. And as you can see, this was actually, when we had it a couple of years ago, 700 people. We had 900 last year. But this guy, Ken Oletta, I encourage you all, on June 4th, he's releasing this book. There's going to be a nice party in New York on this called Frenemies. This is his latest book. It's basically the disruption of the whole advertising world told through the eyes of Sir Martin Sorrell and others. He gave me this unedited, uncorrected copy, and I've had a fun time kind of editing it a little bit. But I encourage you, it'll be out June 4th. Please pick it up. It's everything about what's breaking up, talks about the lack of transparency, talks about the leverage in the whole advertising and media world. Some stats. You know, we're not just talking here, but people do want to connect. Look at that. It is growing. Look at those numbers. This is at our summit in New York, October 30th this year. For those of you that haven't registered yet, registration's not even open yet, but it'll be open soon. And then some of the polling we do. The summit is a great place to learn about sponsors and companies and vendors. I engage with exhibitors. These are real good facts. I found out about companies I hadn't heard of. These are the actual data points of why connecting, like what's done at London Digital Signage Week and New York Digital Signage Week, is good. So this year, so far, what we have the global CMO of Intel. We have the global CMO of Ameritrade. Deloitte Digital, if you don't know it, Deloitte, PwC, Ernst & Young, all the big consulting companies, McKinsey, are busy now getting into the knickers of the ad agencies. They have the relationships with the CEOs, the CFOs, and the CMOs, and they're saying they can do it better than the agency groups. A lot of disruption going on today, and you're going to want to hear from Deloitte about how they're doing it. Who's familiar with the Luma charts? Anybody seen the Luma charts? Excellent. Luma charts, if you haven't seen them, it describes the whole advertising and media landscape of who owns who and how it's divided. This is the guy that built it. Terry Kawaja, who runs the bank, the Luma Investment Bank on media, and then the head of all investment there. In Canada, next week, we're going to have the CMO of L'Oreal, the CMO of BMW, and the CEO of Mindshare, and the McDonald's client as well. Once again, we bring these people to bear. That great publication, The Daily Do, has done stories on what Adrian referred to before, how we take big conferences and curate DPAA-driven trips together. This is from Cannes. Look at Stephanie over there, a nice picture with Burr Smith, who you all know. And in detail, CES this year, we've had Samsung, we've had Colgate, we have had Y&R. We do private, intimate panels. This is the Chief Digital Officer globally for Subway, where we have our members on private tours, the same tours that Unilever gets, the same tour that General Motors get, and everybody bonds. Everybody gets a chance to do it. We have these private meetings at Cannes Lion and at CES and DMexco, where we sit together in a group with major players on the advertising stage and interact with them and see what advertisers want, see what they think of us, and then get exchanged to change cards. And I always joke about how you guys do that really well. So that's at CES. It's 140,000 of your best friends. We move together in our own bus, in our own together, and then we get to all the top-end media parties and engage. We do the same thing at Cannes Lions. Here's the Chief Strategy Officer, Andy Sarubis from Out Front. There's Eric Estrada again. You guys probably know Clive Punter, who heads up sales for Out Front as well. The CEO of Captivate. We've had a yacht for the past couple of years. There I am interviewing the global CEO of Wavemaker from Group M. And then Clear Channel CMO, Dan Levy, and some other folks up there from Quivity. There's Brett from Quivity as well. So nice to see him. Once again, we take a big Cannes Lion and we curate it to get great value for our members in engaging and understand the ad market. DSE, one of our members, Top Golf. It's a great play. It's 4 levels of golfing with swimming pools. Once again, we have meetings there. And then DMexco, as Adrian mentioned earlier, we get together. There's another Quivity guy. There's Denis and our friends Laura from Displace. Our members Rubicon as well. We get together, we exchange practices, we meet with advertisers, and we grow the meetings. Quickly going through this, our quarterly member meetings. This happens, we've had on the rooftop of Ogilvy, we've had them at the rooftop of Young and Rubicon, and once again, everybody comes and engages. This is kind of interesting, and I'm gonna wrap up in a moment. We spend a lot of our time connecting you to each other. We connect our members to the ad community, and then we spend a lot of time with the ad community. And we learn about what they want and how they're gonna spend more money. A couple of quick examples. McDonald's. McDonald's has, with all their franchises around the world, where there's local decision makers, has always had a big concern with out-of-home advertising. They send out the boards and the sheets, and they get mangled, they get changed, they get kind of, purposely or not, they get altered. Now headquarters in Oak Brook, Illinois says, I love digital signage. Why? Because what I'm sending out digitally ends up being on the screen digitally. It doesn't get changed. The corporate message stays the same. At IBM said to me, with Watson, with cloud computing, our message could change by the business climate. It could change by the week, by the month, sometimes by the afternoon if the stock market tanks. So what they've said now is, I love digital signage, and they've really kicked up their spending at IBM because now it's something that can move fast. You don't have to send out an ad and have it run 3 weeks later and stay up there for a month. A lot more examples of this. We're always out there, and at all our member gatherings, we're telling our members and introducing them to help understand what's going on here. This is actually just in the past 4 months, the advertisers and agencies that we spend intimate time with at the CMO and the highest levels. So this is advertisers and agencies telling what they think, not just us.
The out-of-home area is evolving very, very rapidly from just dumb signage to a medium that provides useful data. To me, that's not an evolution, it's more of a revolution.
I don't think the out-of-home line, so to speak, is just billboards anymore, and the digital line isn't search anymore. You know, it's a blend.
Everything today is place-based. Everything is digital. Live TV viewing is dying by 1,000 paper cuts. In this exponentially fractured media landscape, television audiences will likely get smaller.
Each screen offers an opportunity to be a storyteller in a different way.
Because what was reserved in the past for digital interactive devices, now we can do that in other out-of-home and other place-based forms.
And when you see a cinematic experience or see something moving on a screen when you're walking down the street, I think you immediately capture the consumer's attention.
We've been using mobile technology to start to build archetypes, to understand them better.
and we've been using that not just for digital technology, but also for out of home, for place-based, and so on and so forth.
The fast food and reinventing the breakfast has really been based upon, location, 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 and they do it through digital place-based advertising.
And then they used weather data to trigger dynamic outdoor ads.
Those video screens become a way for us to connect with consumers at retail.
Whether they're at work, they're in transit, they're commuting.
You have evolved your platforms and you are now creating experiences that are much more immersive and responsive to the people that might be standing 2 feet or 2 meters in front of your platform.
Navigate these exciting times where video literally is everywhere.
So this is the world we're living in now. We spend a lot of time with these folks and others, and this is not us saying about the excitement of out-of-home going digital, but major global brands, global CEOs of ad agencies now saying that, and this is a lot of what we do. So all of you in the room that even the ones aren't members are being helped by all that work there. We connect programmatically, and for those of you that know or you want to talk to us, we push programmatic, we develop the white papers and the global technical standards, and then the digital impression multiplier for all of programmatic that's being used by everybody now. So if you're not on board, please get on board. The tech protocols are key. Standardization is key for moving programmatic, and it's being embraced by the whole infrastructure. We've got digital programmatic meetings all the time. We have new studies coming out where a lot of advertisers are using programmatic in-house. We're spending a lot of time with them. There'll be more reports and more pitches and papers coming out. We can connect in that. All of the activities, 30+ activities a year for DPAA members. We've talked about all the great work Adrian's done. I'm kind of leaving you with what we're doing today. This has been attributed to Confucius and Ben Franklin. And if you think about it, if you tell somebody something, they may forget. If you teach somebody something, they may remember. But what we're doing here, if you involve somebody, they'll really learn. Keep that in mind. A couple of other quick ones. Tennyson, there's actually a Tennyson pub around the corner. He didn't say that the books is what's important to him. He didn't say that reading is important to him. All that he has met is what makes him. The wife of Bill Gates, deep human connection, a meaningful life comes from getting people together. A lot of stats. All exhibits are up. All attendance, the conferences are up all over the world. A number of exhibitors are up. How to best connect, attend events like this, fund travel for your employees, join associations. If something can be done virtually, it doesn't mean that it should. It means you still got to show up. Digital travel across borders, do that. Exchange experience. The reason DPAA, part of the reason we've been successful is digital does travel. Everything's the same. Stay open to serendipitous meetings. How do you get the most out of the digital out-of-home conferences? Know who's attending in advance. Do a little bit of research. Who do I want to meet? Who do I want to talk to? What do I want to ask them? Do some sidebar meetings. Do drinks. Do lunches around London Digital Signage Week. Review the program. Research the speakers. What can they tell me? What can I learn? Use it as an opportunity to know your competition. Bill Clinton once said something to me. He goes, you don't make peace with your friends. You make peace with your enemies or business, conflict. That's where you gain knowledge. Use as an inspiration to think and have think time, pensive time. Take notes. Look at all the great leaders that Adrian and Andrew and Russ have put together this week. Some great people to learn from. This is really key to embrace and have dialogue and understand what's going on. At our summits, we've had the head of global media on air for CNN, Brian Stelter. We've had the head of McDonald's globally, the head of Hulu Media, the head of Citibank, the head of mobile companies, et cetera. And then maximizing this week, go off the record, have some sidebar conversations, gain some trust. Do what we did earlier, do that again. Share your ideas, get feedback. Find new business partners, build up traffic. Find out some questions you really want to get answered. Build traffic to your website. Something else that's really important in these lists, spend time with people you don't know like we did earlier. Don't hang around with your own company. Distribute yourselves, get to know something new. Social media, we know the angst. It's causing high blood pressure, it's causing FOMO, fear of missing out, and even millennials are now they need a rest from social media. We couldn't get a picture of this guy. Photography didn't exist, so we took a bus. But Aristotle said, man by nature is a social animal. Anybody who cannot partake of society is either beast or God. I don't think you want to be either of those now, but really important words. One of the real tech geniuses. What did he say about technology? There's a real danger that computers will develop intelligence and take over. Another great STEM guy, real genius about technology. The problem with Tesla's Model 3, there were too many robots. They had to go back to human connection, which is what we're talking about today. And he's a real tech guy. A lot of stats and data. 95% of people from a Harvard business study said in-person meetings are the key to success. What you guys are doing here today in Adrian is really the key to success. Oxford said for every dollar you invest in corporate travel and meetings, you get $12.50 back. Forbes study. UCLA professor. The need to connect is as basic as food, water, and shelter. It's baked into our operating systems. And who does it really well? Name one company that does it really well. Anybody have any thoughts? Connects people, engages them. How about Starbucks? What a place. I actually went to school with Howard Schultz. He talks about at the beginning, we have our work day, we have our sleep day, and then we have our third space. And our third space is where we're in between. And we may be doing our own work, but we're connecting with other people because there's a buzz, there's that human energy around. That's what made it really successful. Look at all these other companies. TED Talks, WeWorks, individual startup companies, a vibrancy, a communication, a connection in the hallways. That's what happens. Airbnb is doing the same thing. And of course, the events that we participate in, Coachella then and South by Southwest. One of my board of directors, a CEO of Screen Vision, John Partilla, he succeeded in his EBITDA and his revenue by MBA. And for those of you that may think it's a school thing, it's really management by walking around. He knows all 150 of his employees by name and their personal lives when he got there, and that's what's made him, part of the reason that's made him very successful. Management by walking around. Best Buy, in this age of Amazon, they've designed their stores so the human connection is really what drives it. So let's go to human power. Please exhibit, utilize that human power. And then as I wrap up here, I'm going to connect the digital screen signage world and my personal world, and I'm going to connect that. I was down in New Orleans, Louisiana. My daughter is getting married at the end of the year to a very lovely guy, and our friends at Lamar, Sean Riley and everybody, as the families were there, I surprised them and I said, look at the side of the highway in New Orleans, and this is what they saw. Isn't that sweet? So this is my daughter, Gabby. Laissez le bon temps brûler is the sign, is the kind of signature for New Orleans. It means let the good times roll. And they had the announcement all along the Lamar billboard. So this is a connection of love and family and digital signage. And they're a happy young couple, and I do, and I'm sure you wish them many years of happiness. Another smart guy, and we started out today with my theory, and this guy's had his own theories of relativity. If tech surpasses our human interaction, the world will have a generation of idiots. Human power. Let's break the chains of technology. Let's jump for joy because we're connecting as humans. Let's use that human power. Woody Allen said 80% of success in life is showing up. You're showing up here, and please just keep showing up. And now applaud yourselves for your connections you're going to make today. Let's connect. Thank you.